Hey everybody, what's up? What's going on? Today I wanted to talk about immortality, or more specifically, the immortality found in Baccano. Now, of course, there's tons of immortality all throughout media. You got the immortals in Highlander, which I think are awesome. You got immortals from, I don't know, there's stuff like you got to be a vampire to be an immortal, whatever type of media or whatever. But I think Baccano, one of the reasons I took to that so quick was that it approached immortality differently than I had seen before. And it wasn't like, oh, there's one immortal here, one immortal there. No, it's like in bulk. A bunch of people are immortals. Half the cast is immortals. And another thing is, whenever immortality is explored in media, it always seems to be very negative, like the Queen song, Who Wants to Live Forever? And, in Highlander, they're all killing each other to eventually reach the prize. What's the prize? Mortality, so they could finally die. But Baccano goes about it very, very differently. In Baccano, being immortal is like the ultimate high. It's the greatest thing you could ever achieve. And the type of immortality in Baccano is a type that, it's like you get the Grand Panacea, or whatever, the immortality elixir, but you can't sustain like any long-term damage. Like you get your fingers cut off, they come like immediately come right back on with all the blood. Everything goes back into place. But what always interested me was the finer details of the immortality, such as apparently in the book it explains that if an immortal suffers from a certain type of injury more often than others, they will become more, they'll heal better from that injury. Like, let's say they take an axe and they cut off their hand, and then it comes back right back on again. If they keep doing that and keep doing that and keep doing that, each time, apparently, their arm will regenerate faster and faster because their immortal body has familiarized itself with that injury. Such as if you were to get shot up a lot. Let's say you got someone took a Tommy gun and shot up an immortal like on a daily basis. After some time, their body would heal 10 times faster to that injury. Now, I'm not really sure if that's to imply that eventually they'd get to the point where the second a bullet even comes near their body's preparing to regenerate. I don't know the extent of that because I didn't see it go into much detail. But another thing that interested me about this type of immortality was, let's say like you cut up an immortal, and their body naturally comes back together. In the anime, I had always wondered about the limit of how far the body parts could be away from the immortals, and this I'll tell you what I mean is I think perfectly explained when on the train, the Flying Pussyfoot, when Vino is torturing Czeslaw Mayer, he like grinds him up beneath like the wheels of the train and everything, and there's this whole scene at like episode, I think might be episode 11 or 12 maybe. It's kind of like the wrap up episode where everything ends, and then there's like the last 3 episodes, and in it, Czeslaw Mayer, like Isaac and Miria, have Ches on top of the train. They're like holding on to him. He lost a fuck ton of blood. Yeah, I think his arm might be gone or something. And he's bleeding out because Vino like fucked him up really bad. And his immortal, all of his blood was trying to catch up to his body, but what was happening was the train was going so fast that the blood was kind of like lagging behind. What happened was the blood did eventually catch up to him, and it ended up coming back to him. Everything was fixed, immortal, yada yada yada. But what I always wondered was, would it be possible for you to quickly cut up an immortal and put each of their body parts in boxes and separate them? I'd always wondered this. And they don't really go in. As far as I know, they just started adapting the light novel. I got book one, but I haven't seen anything in there thus far that shows or explains that. Um, they do think of some like interesting things. Nothing really that expands on like the deeper thinking parts of the immortality, such as like I said, cutting up body parts, putting them in separate boxes, and seeing if the immortal reforms, or if they're like I'm saying, like put them in containers where like the blood and the limbs and everything can't like materialize through a flat surface to get back to the source. That is, if a source is even, like if there's even a core source for them to come back to. Um, and of course, as the anime has shown, there are also incomplete elixirs that will make the immortal heal, but they'll still age. And that didn't make much sense to me because isn't the whole point of the immortality elixir just the regeneration of cells? So if they're aging, technically their cells are dying. So how are they healing but their bodies are still aging? That part never made much sense to me. But hey, it's whatever. I guess it's really just to show that there are like different levels to the elixir. Like, there's the incompletes, whatever is the complete version. And yeah, just another thing that astounded me about it was just the amount of positivity the immortality in the show gets, because you never see that. Anytime you see immortality in media, it's always, oh, it's a curse, it's terrible, it's this, it's that. In Baccano, they treat it like it's the greatest thing ever. And I guess that's to symbolize like a kind of newer outlook on eternal life. Because if you notice, like Misa in the show, he's one of the old immortals, and he believes it's like terrible, it's a curse. Whereas all the newer guys from the newer generation, 1930s, mobsters and such, think it's great. I think it's the greatest thing ever. Which, it's nice to see that switch up, that difference, which is one of the things, it has a much more positive outlook on something that was deemed like so terrible back then. And of course the book even explains like, there were older mortals, even the ones before the 1711 ship. The whole incident on the ship where all the alchemists became immortal. There were older ones that taught, one of which taught Misa. Hence, he summoned the demon, he got the elixir, boom, everything swung into motion. But yeah, those are just some of my thoughts on the immortality in Baccano. That was really interesting. And if I could, definitely make a recommendation to check out Baccano. Both the books and the anime are absolutely fantastic. Mainly because it's a break from, natural Japanese culture and everything. This is like America, 1930s prohibition mobsters, especially the English dub. Fantastic English dub for the most part. I loved it. I thought it was great. Also because I just love listening to those try-hard Brooklyn accents. And I told myself I wasn't going to do a Brooklyn accent in this video. It's because every single time you see a reviewer doing a review, it's like it's the first thing they jump to is a Brooklyn accent. Not that there's anything wrong with that. But yeah, so that's what I think of the show. Definitely check it out. It's definitely one of my top 10. I think Baccano is it's definitely one of my top 3 spots. Top 2, maybe. Maybe number 2, maybe number 1, I don't know. But yeah, that's going to do it for this video, and I'll see you next time.